Let's bring in the General Manager, Consumer Affairs at the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, Abdulkadir Shettima. Thanks for joining us on Newsnight. We've heard the tougher penalties that will be meted out for electricity theft. I just wanted you to elaborate more on the driving force behind this stricter measures, and also how are you able to detect meters that are being bypassed?
Okay, thank you very much for having me. The main purpose of the recent order on unauthorized access, meter tampering and meter bypass, is really to mitigate the rising incidence of unauthorized access on the one hand, and also to provide clarity and clear guidelines for reconnecting customers that engage in such practices. So one of the ways is through reviewing the charges that are associated with these incidences of meter or unauthorized access to the grid. The other aspect of it is it's both ways actually. It's not just the customers, the electricity, the companies, the utilities also, where they fail to reconnect customers or they delay in reconnecting customers, there are associated charges with that as well. Then to answer your second question about how such customers are being found out, it's actually the responsibility of the distribution companies, the utilities. So the order has specified the processes they would follow. They will carry out surveillance, they will have inspections, and they use advanced metering infrastructure to detect these incidences of meter tampering or meter bypass.
You did say this is on the rise. My first question will be, how huge is this in Nigeria? When you talk about electricity theft, what's the scale of it in Nigeria? And then, we have instances we've heard in the past, if in a situation where a customer, unassuming, gets a property or a shop, because I hear this is not just for private houses, it's also for businesses. Yeah. So for a customer who then inherits a house or a shop, rents or buy, that already has an existing issue with bypassed meter or unauthorized access, would they also have to face the penalty? How do they ensure they are guided not to fall victim?
Well, the first part of your question regarding how large this scale is, I don't have specific numbers, but it's huge. It's one of the reasons why we don't have enough liquidity in the industry to ensure sustainable growth.
So can we put some monetary terms to it? Because it's money, is money discos are losing. Yeah. Exactly. This is all about revenue. So if you could put a price to it, to imagine the scale, what would that price range be?
Well, it's I don't want to give you wrong figures because I don't have such these data at hand, but it's huge. And it's one of the reasons why we don't have enough funds. The distribution companies do not generate enough revenues to ensure the other players in the value chain, the generation, the transmission, have enough revenues to,
Is there a
Sorry, there's another question about those who unknowingly buy or take houses that have existing issues of bypass meters, unpaid, and all of that issue. Do they also have to face this fine? Well,
there are two parts to it. First is where there is a tenant or a previous landlord that is owing a bill on that property. The Electricity Act, passed in 2023, mandates that the distribution company cannot transfer the bill to the new tenant or the new landlord. Instead, it should go after the old tenant or the old landlord. Yeah, but in the case of unauthorized access, where maybe the property has been disconnected because of that unauthorized access, so any new tenant or new landlord would do his due diligence. I mean, why is a property disconnected? What's the issue? And then they would factor that before they, conclude their transactions.
And what is the disconnect? If you say this electricity theft is growing, the scale is just too much. You have to now put in more tougher consequences for people who are participating in this. What's the disconnect? What's the why? Why is this going on?
Well, when consequences are not high enough, some people engage in illegal activities. So we have to have enough deterrence to stop people from engaging in these unauthorized activities. Otherwise, it will put so much strain on other consumers as well. So that's why, to protect every other person, we have to institute enough deterrence for those that are engaging in these acts.
Is there also some sort of whistleblower policy in place? See something, say something. If I know my neighbors are bypassing or doing something illegal, are you also encouraging that? Is that in place? And I also wanted to ask you, because electricity theft, you have said, is huge, but so also is estimated billing and overcharging by the discos. We don't hear so much from NERC when it comes to those issues. What are you doing in those stead?
Okay, thank you very much. It's a nice question. For the first part of your question regarding whistleblower, yes, the order actually encourages that. The standard operating procedure outlined in the order requires distribution companies to interview customers, to get more facts and build the case that there is unauthorized access happening in some locations. So it's encouraged, and many of the distribution companies already have this whistleblower policy in their system. For your other question regarding estimated billing.
Overbilling. Yes, by the discos?
Yes. So it's one of the things we also monitor very well, and we penalize many of the discos that are engaging in such practices. So, for instance, where consumers do not have meters, the Commission has come up with energy caps. So you cannot charge, there is a cap, there is a ceiling in what you can charge consumers that don't have meters. Where those caps are not being complied with, because we are monitoring the caps for each feeder, we penalize the discos in addition to making them give credits to the customers for the excess that has happened. And we've received many commendations from customers that we've resolved such issues.
Okay. I think it's a good place to leave it. If we still have time, perhaps we can throw in the question about the meters. Okay. What's happening with the meters? Why do we still have estimated billions? I know the government says they're rolling out about 7 million this year.
Yes.
How's that going? How soon can we get Nigerians metered and end this cycle of estimated billions?
Yeah, so the government is very aggressive in resolving this issue of metering in the industry. A number of initiatives are ongoing simultaneously currently. So apart from the 7 million meters under the Presidential Metering Initiative, the status is they're doing a lot of the planning and procurement would soon start. Then there is also the distribution sector recovery program by the World Bank, which also would bring a couple of million meters. And then we also have what we call the Meter Acquisition Fund, which was a scheme developed by the Commission. And we have about 30-something billion naira from that fund, and the distribution companies are accessing it, and they've started metering consumers from that fund as well. And we also have the Meter Asset Provider Scheme, where consumers that are in a hurry, they don't want to wait, they can pay for the meters, to have the meters, and then they get refunded by the distribution companies.
Great.
Thank you so much for that explanation. This is the GM Consumer Service at NERC, Dr. Abdulkadir Shettima. Thanks so much for joining us on Newsnight.
Thank you very much.